Okay, let's now refresh here.
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
I think it takes a while to.
I'm just checking on all things really quick just to make sure we're live.
It's coming up.
Aha!
Oh,
there we go.
I think there is a little bit of a lag time compared to.
Yeah, that's fine.
Dude, that's awesome. That's cool.
All right. So welcome, everyone. We're so glad to have you guys here for our very, very first time. I'm going to turn down the volume on mine thing here really quick. Let me just make sure. Okay, we're all good. Perfect. Well, welcome everyone to The Playground, a show based around all things fun. I'm Andy, and joining me is my beautiful wife and co-host, Sierra. We're so happy you've all joined us, whether you're rewatching this live stream here on the YouTube channel, Andy's Playground, or listening to this podcast through whichever service you choose to listen to. This is really the first time we've ever really done anything like this, so I'm very excited. But before we dive in, I wanted to quickly go into why we are exactly doing this. The whole podcast live stream idea has been in my head for a long time now. I've always wanted to be a part of a podcast for a while now, just because there's so much material to discuss and talk about, but I didn't exactly want it to be the same as some of the people who I watch, listen to, and admire. So I pitched this whole idea to Sierra, who said she was down to do something creative like this, and thus The Playground was born. Let's see here. Now, as some of you can already tell, some of the material we are stating is scripted in that we have pre-recorded notes and statements, or maybe even just paragraphs in general, explaining what's in our heads. But throughout the show, I hope that you'll see some improv and overall more fluid and flowing dialogue as we keep going. In each episode we do, we will start things off with what we've been up to. Today, that will be headed up by my amazing wife, Sierra. Afterwards, we will typically introduce a special guest. And then after interviewing them a while, we will all participate in a discussion topic where we will be discussing past, present, and future topics we deem interesting or just want to talk about in general. We will also be talking with you, the audience, through this live stream, and we hope you will also participate with us as well. Following that discussion topic, we'll then go into Q&A and some listener mail. Finally concluding and talking about a really good event that we've been noticing lately in our world or the world in general. The live stream will then end, and I will take the audio and send it to our podcast. Again, this is all ideal, and there might be some kinks, which we will hopefully work through. But without further ado, let's get into what we've been up to.
All right. So as most of you, I think everyone knows that Disney World shut down, and because of that, we were out of a job. So the next few days, we kind of were discussing what we wanted to do, and initially we were thinking, okay, let's go on a week-long trip to Virginia, which is where his parents reside, and just to go visit them for a little bit. And so we had all our things ready. We were going on this trip, and then everything just kind of went with the whole thing with coronavirus, the lockdowns going on, and just everything, a lot was going on. And so we are actually still in Virginia, but our hopes is that we'll be able to go back to Florida. Though despite all the negativity and the hard things that was going on in the world right now, we were able to make the most of the situation. As you can see, we're now married, and it's been 3 weeks actually. So it's been a really good 3 weeks. We both are working. I was able to get a job back at an old company that I was working at in Idaho. I'm working remote from home, and Andrew's actually working at a grocery store nearby. And so we're both just working and saving up our money, and just hoping to return back to Florida because we absolutely loved it in Florida. We loved working for Disney, and it's unfortunate with everything that's going on right now, but we have hope that despite all the negativity going on, and that through being cautious and all these safe precautions that our country is taking and Disney is taking as well, that we're able to Disney will finally be able to open up and we can return to our home in Florida. So we're just taking step by step and hoping to continue forward with that.
And hopefully we'll be able to get back there really soon. We're both really, really excited to get back home to Florida, and especially back to our Disney life too.
Yeah.
We miss it down there. We miss everything basically about there. And so, but we're happy right now. We're doing pretty great overall. I mean, things could technically be a lot worse. And I'm not going to try to jinx that, but we just keep moving on. So that's kind of what we've been up to. If you guys have any more questions about that, feel free to ask away. I've been kind of like paying a little bit of attention to our chat box right here, but I haven't been able to necessarily talk. So many people are in right now, which I'm so grateful for. So thank you guys all for being here. Hello to every single one of you. We want you guys to keep, talking, keep discussing. We're going to be getting into our discussion topic now because we don't have a special guest for this episode, this very first episode. This is just a trial run, basically, just to see what you guys think. And then hopefully we'll be able to bring on more people as we keep going from now on. But so we're going to just jump ahead to our discussion topic, and that today will be introduced by Sierra again.
Woo! Okay, so we had a lot of great input from everyone on Instagram, though this is going to kind of tie into what someone else suggested about us talking about our college program, but we kind of wanted to narrow it down a little bit and talk about our last day as a Disney cast member and also our last day at Disney World, because it was a very emotional day. The college program participants, we found out on that Saturday that we're not with the company anymore, and that they were suspending the college program. And then the next day would have been our last day of work. So it was a very emotional time for us, but I was very grateful for all the memories that we had from that time. For me personally, I spent a lot of time with my quote-unquote parking cones. So it's all the cast members I worked with at the Epcot parking lot and Auto Plaza. And we spent our morning going to the, it's over at Fort Wilderness, that one restaurant.
Oh, shoot.
Oh, man. What's it called?
It's Trails End.
Trails End. Thank you. The one that has the really good breakfast buffet. And so we went there to eat, and it was probably the best thing. That was actually my first time ever having a Mickey waffle. So shocker, guys, I'm still new to the whole Disney thing. And then afterwards we went to Magic Kingdom, and we just had like quite a few special moments. We got special moments from cast members who recognized that we were Disney College Program participants, and it was so neat and the unity that I felt with the other CPs. That was probably just the best moment ever with that. Later on, I worked that day, and it was for a lot of people, it would have been a very emotional day for them, because especially as a CP, and we've seen CPs it was very emotional for them. But something that I personally wanted to make out of it was like, this is my last day to make magic, then I want to make it the best, most magical day for other people. And very few people were coming through Epcot, but whenever I saw a CP, and you could tell it's a CP with a little sticker that they have on their car, I specifically would talk to them and I'd say, like, thank you for making the magic. Like, you made your time here such a magical time. And I said that for all other cast members too, not just, of course, not just CPs, but I think everyone in that time, especially cast members, needed to feel that they were really making the magic and really changing people's lives. And that's what was one thing I'm really grateful for working at Disney. And then afterwards, I met up with Andrew, and we went to Hollywood Studios because they allowed CPs to go in. And then I just hung out with more of my parking cones. I said my goodbyes, said goodbye to my leaders and my family, my Epcot parking family, and it was wonderful.
Yeah. My case was kind of almost like going from different ends of the field. So I was I was working at ESPN, the Wild World of Sports Complex, when I found out what was going on. that Saturday. It was kind of depressing too, because kind of weird. ESPN is kind of a weird place to work at because it's very different from the parks in that it's one of the places where when I worked there, I was like, it was very interesting because I felt like the guests knew more than a lot of the cast members did. We knew kind of directionally where to send people, but when it came to like events and things like that, we didn't know very much. And I only worked there probably a handful of times. In fact, actually, prior to working there that day, I hadn't worked there in like 3 months. And so it was kind of a weird sensation. But they put me there, and I was working just outside somewhere, just by myself. And we had coordinators coming left and right. We knew that something was up. And then eventually they pulled every single CP that was present in that complex, that entire complex, which is huge. And they pulled us all into a room. And this room was very, very tiny. It's about the size of a bedroom. It was the break room area. And they then told all of us, there was probably about 30 of us in that room, that our CPs were over and that we're all going home. We found out we were among the first to know about it because we started texting all of our friends. We were like, hey, have you guys heard this? I texted Sierra and called Sierra, but she was out in the lot. But what was really depressing was it was almost as if you kind of like just, I don't know if the word is like, just you basically just sent a ripple effect through all these people. And there was different people getting it at certain times, I noticed, but most of the people that were there just started breaking down. And it was the saddest thing you could ever witness, because you have a lot of these people who love Disney so much that they're willing to do whatever. And it was just so sad. But there was this element where people were breaking down in tears. They were crying. They were lashing out at the leaders. They were just going crazy into this mindset of like everything they knew in just a moment was gone, was over, and it was ending. And most of the people there took what we call ERs, which is early releases, meaning they just clocked out of their shift. And most of them then went to the parks. They went to go say their goodbyes. I actually went and finished my shift. I decided, you know what, I'm just going to finish my shift. I don't want this to be the last moment of my day. So I finished it. I think it was about an hour or two left on my shift. And so then I finished it just standing outside, acting like nothing had happened. But then I went, to Hollywood Studios, turning in a lot of my stuff. The next day, I had work again, and I didn't want to go. I literally had planned. I was working at I think I was supposed to get up at work at 7:30 in the morning, and I was just like, I didn't want to go. But I think I woke up around 6:45 or something like that. I just couldn't sleep that night because it was just such a traumatic experience. I should say I wasn't sad for me or Sierra. I wasn't sad for us because I knew we were safe. We were very protected. We were not living in college program housing, so we didn't have to move out in the matter of a couple days. I was more sad for the CPs who didn't have that, and for the CPs who this is what they had. I was more sad for them, and I was more worried about them. And so I just couldn't sleep. And so I ended up waking up at 6:30, and I was like, you know what? I had even called out. I was like, I'm not coming in. I was like, I'm just going to do it. And so I just came into work. I was the only CP that came into work at ESPN that I saw that wasn't maybe in food or beverage or something like that. But I was the only one that I saw in operations. And it was so cute. The coordinator that was there, she was just like, Andrew, do you like baseball? I'm like, I love baseball. Baseball is my sport. Like, cool. We have some baseball and softball games going on. I want you to be an usher in that stadium. Just basically go watch baseball. And so I watched baseball for 6 hours. And it was just, it was fun, but it was just kind of just surreal. This is how I'm ending my Disney career as I know it. Just watching baseball where the Atlanta Braves used to play for spring training. It was just weird. I made magic, even though during that time period, I remember there was the second deck where we weren't letting guests and kids go up there. There was probably 10 people in the stands total. And most 4 of them were kids. Every time a foul ball was hit into the stands, they would run and go grab it. But they wanted to go up on the second deck because there was a lot of balls going up there. And so I just went up there and I just started giving them out. And then we had a cast member who used to be friends with Mickey, Donald, Goofy, and Pluto, and remembered a lot of their signatures. And so she took it backstage and was able to get these autographed balls. And we just started giving these to the kids. I ended up taking one as well. And then after that, we met up in Hollywood Studios, and that's when we met up together. Probably my favorite moment that happened there happened when we went to go to the Indiana Jones Epic Stunt Spectacular. I'd seen that show dozens of times. That's where I used to work. This was something that was truly special, though. For the 6 o'clock show, so it would be the last show of the day, we all sat in the front row in the VIP section. Most of us were CPs. In fact, actually, everyone, they blocked it all off for us. And there was at least 20 of us, I think. Typically, they select junior directors to come out and do the show. They're typically like little kids and stuff like that. But the casting director came, and her name is Carol. She's super, super sweet. And there's this video online. I'm not sure if you guys have been able to see it. Hopefully, I'll be able to pull it at some point, put it on this channel. But she comes out and says, normally, we have these kids come out and do this, but today we're going to have our college program participants come out. And so they brought us all out onto the stage. There was 20 to 30 of us total. Most of us had worked the attraction as well. And so, and she just explained to the crowd that we were all going home and we were all done working. And some people gave us a standing ovation. It was just so cool. Beautiful. But then we got to say lights, camera, action, and start the show. And that was just so much fun. That was just great. But it was just sad, because then after that, Sierra went with her traffic people, and I went with my.
I'm sorry. Hold on. Call them traffic people.
Traffic people.
Parking cones. Yeah. Thank you.
Sorry, parking cones. And I just went to go hang out with my Muppets, Jedi, and Explorer people.
I need a better name for that.
Well, we worked too many attractions,
okay.
So that's the problem. But so we all just went off our separate ways, and I ended up staying in Hollywood Studios. I got to go ride Rise of the Resistance again for my second time, as Sierra is still lacking the first. But and then we rode Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, which is the last ride I ever got to do. Before that, we went to go see Fantasmic. Everything was wonderful. It was a great experience. Cast members were great. I ended my night in Galaxy's Edge with some friends who were just taking pictures with lightsabers. That's where you guys saw that video. I think the one right before this live stream where I said goodbye to Walt Disney World for now. Two videos before that one, because the last video was the
Three
Caballeros. That was fun. But yeah, in short, I mean, it was a rough time period. But I mean, what would you have done with the college program participants though during that time period? What could have been done? Knowing what we know now, having it been almost, how long has it been? Like at least a month.
Yeah. Gosh. I honestly, okay, I first would have if because they didn't initiate a lot of these lockdowns until towards end of April. And so we initially found out on the 14th, and then were given till CPs in the college housing were given till the 17th to pack and move out their stuff. I would have probably given them a little bit more time, especially knowing that, well, if I know now that that's when the governments and those state governments were going to lock down their states, I would have given them at least that much more time. Because, I mean, even now, they just recently sent home their international college program. Actually, no, it's that, and also it's the cultural exchange program participants. So those are the people that you see in Epcot that are from Norway, Japan, Morocco, China, all those places. So, because one of my friends was one of them in Japan, and he finally just got sent home, and just now. And so I feel like there could have been a little bit more time to get them prepared, mentally prepared for this, especially if they thought about this, maybe they could have announced it. But.
Yeah. At the same time, the issue, and I think what their logic was they didn't want the CP housing to become a festering ground for the coronavirus. They wanted them out of there as soon as they could. just to be able to make sure they could clean the facilities well and effectively, and so that way they're not sending these kids home after having the coronavirus, because they probably could have gotten it and spread it around, because that's really tight housing. They're putting like 5 people,
6 to 8 in certain areas.
Per room. So it makes sense to be able to move them out there. One thing they did tell us all, though, was that they would give us the opportunity to do the program again. However, there's certain people that wouldn't be eligible to do that. For instance, myself, I'm no longer eligible to do the program because I already graduated. Maybe there would be a setting when you're applying for the college program again, where you'd be like, were you a part of this college program, the spring 2020 college program? And would you be able to do it again? That would be the question. But it made sense why they wanted to get them out there that quickly. However, I think I would have given them a week, not a couple days. And also, I wouldn't have told them that the day before the last day.
Yeah.
I mean, but at the same time, if it's one of those, like, I'm going to reach out to you guys in the comments here, those that are watching this. What would you have done if you were Disney towards the CP situation? Would you have done what they did, where they told them the day before and then given them a day in the parks possibly, and then had them move out on Wednesday? Or how would you guys space it out? I'll let you guys talk about that while I'm still talking about on this end too. But basically, I mean, that's kind of what I would do. That's what they did was basically what I would do. You gave them a day to be able to go into the parks, to be able to see what they want. They even opened up the Hollywood Studios that last day too.
That was really nice of them.
They didn't let you go on rides. No way to get on rides.
Nope.
But they let you, they let you be able to get in the park. That was really sad. I didn't.
Really
while you guys were typing, if you guys were typing.
Oh god.
That was depressing. We want to talk about the cast member.
Oh. Okay.
So there was a cast member, a CP cast member, who was one of the people who would screen people for the boarding groups outside of Rise of Resistance. And this poor sweet cast member was getting, accosted almost by other CPs who would come up and be like, "Hey, can I get on the ride? Can you get me in? Can you get me in?"
Gosh, it was so sad.
And they had been told earlier in the day, because they got caught doing that and they got in trouble and they got some issues with that, that they weren't allowed to let anyone in, any other CPs. So it was just brutal. And she was in tears, having to tell other CPs and people, she hadn't herself even ridden that ride yet. And she was a CP. She was going home too. And she couldn't even ride the ride. And she was just in tears. She was just bawling. She was just having a hard time. She didn't want to be there. We could all tell. And so, I mean, we didn't even push it after that.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was just really, really sad.
Yeah. I think overall it was just a general hard time for all CPs, but I like just how on that last day at Disney World, they made the most of the situation. The cast members did. The company did with, like giving shout outs for the CPs. Because they are calling this program a successful program from what we finished.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we were here a lot longer. We were here since August, but for those that came in January, it's considered a successful program, and that they have finished it and they can have an opportunity to return again to the company.
Mm-hmm.
So
for sure,
there's always hope in the end.
Yeah.
Of the tunnel.
So I think we pretty soundly covered that discussion as much as we can. If you guys have any questions, now is a really good time to ask. Before we go into that, I'm going to read, Rod, I just saw your response here for the discussion topic. Disney Rod says, there wasn't much that Disney could do. I like that they gave you guys a day in the parks, but I would have preferred that Disney could have given you guys more time instead of just a couple of days notice, which, I mean, that definitely does make sense. I feel like it was definitely one of those things that was just kind of drop of the hat. They literally were changing their statements from time after time, even with Indiana Jones. As you guys know, one of my things that I get to do at Indiana Jones is pack everyone in to that stadium seating. But towards the end, they were like, just, have them sit, try to get them a little bit close, but keep that 6 feet as much as they can. it was just, you know, it was just really hard. But yeah, so let me just see here. Oh, that's super, super cool. I didn't realize that. Thank you for showing me that, Mike. I really appreciate that you can do that. All right, so we're going to go now into the Q&A section. If you guys have any questions for us, whether about what we've been up to or things you want to know a little bit more about us, now's a really good time to do that. We're going to devote probably about 10 minutes to that, and then we're going to finish up the stream with just a quick little bit of good news that we've discovered in the world lately. Not trying to copy John Krasinski's some good news, no. But just one little segment that we just saw that was really, really cool that we might bring up here.
I don't think anyone can beat John Krasinski.
Oh, I love that. I love that. That's what he's doing.
So good.
It's just it's all about that quest for positivity, like something that's going good in the world. So that's awesome. So I'm going through all the comments right now, guys. I really appreciate all of you guys for jumping in here. That's really awesome of you guys. Why don't you keep on the modern stuff, see what's going on here. Okay. Really can't appreciate you guys enough for coming in here. So resort budgeting had a good question. They said, are you eligible to come back next year? Did they promise you to bring you back, or do you have to reapply? That's a really good question. That's a good question in the sense that we don't know for sure. They didn't give us a guarantee of if we could come back. They didn't give us any like notification like, hey, you'll be coming back in June when we reapply. When they initially went down, they had a survey that got sent out to all the college program participants stating, hey, would you be interested in possibly if we opened up earlier, before the end of your program? Our program ended in late May. So like, let's say if they opened up the first week of May, which they probably won't now. Or they could, you never know. But I don't know. No, but like, it's would you be interested in coming back? And so we definitely put yes.
Yeah.
But now they sent us an email a couple weeks ago. The head of, I think, Human Resources sent us all an email saying that we just wanted you to know that your program officially ended on March 31st. We're so sorry that it came to terms with that, but it is a mark of certificate of completion. We do hope that you're able to reapply for another program in the future. You're amazing people, blah, blah, great stuff like that. So, I mean, in short, I'm not probably eligible to do it again. Sierra could.
Yeah. I was going to say something else that, for me personally, when I was able to talk with, like some of my leaders, they did offer like, a seasonal position is an option as well. If we were to go back to the company, which is like, it's the same kind of as a college program where it's only temporary. But there is a chance that, we can keep applying for other positions as well.
Exactly. And I mean, all of our leaders said, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Look out for what else is there, and stuff like that. I think for us, though, we just kind of felt like Disney's our home. In short, I mean, we dedicated this channel not to be a Disney YouTube channel, just because we like to keep things open and honest. And that's how we're always going to keep this particular, even this podcast is open. It's not just going to be strictly Disney. There will be a lot of Disney just because Disney means a lot to us. But we just really appreciated that, we were given the time that we had to be even Disney cast members, even for a little bit. Well, we're definitely going to be back. We definitely felt like that's our home, for sure. Orlando Mike asked, are we enjoying StreamYard? So this is our first time using a live stream. This is my first time actually manning a live stream. Overall, this went a lot better than I was expecting. I'm really grateful. I want to do a quick shout out to Wannabe Mouseketeer, Emily from Wannabe Mouseketeer. She introduced me to StreamYard and the concept of it and working with it a little bit more. And so I really appreciated her advice on working with this and discovering this. It works very, very well. I'm actually very surprised with how well this works.
Yeah.
And we love it. So we definitely think it's great.
Yeah. And I think we'll probably discover more features as we kind of just play around with it more. Like this comment feature is awesome. But it looks like there's a lot more to discover with this.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Okay, let's see what else we got here. Okay, So we got a question from Disney Rod.
Oh.
So being the Disney foodie he is, what is your favorite restaurant on Disney property? I'm gonna let you go.
Boy.
You want to go first? You want to go?
If you can go first.
I have a couple favorite places. Number one favorite place overall just has the consistently like the best food I've had, and also the cheapest and the best bargain. Again, we're recent college students, so we're not exactly living large, nor do we have a Disney dining plan or a DVC account, you know. So we're you know we're you know
we live very humble lives.
We're high rollers in the college student sense, but one of my favorite places to go to, it was my go-to place if I was ever in the area and I needed something quick to eat. Was the Yak and Yeti restaurant in Animal Kingdom, right near Kali River Rapids.
That's true.
They have this delicious thing, and my favorite thing in Disney property food-wise, it's chicken fried rice. It's a box of chicken fried rice. It's like that big for like $5.
It's really good.
Great deal. Like compared to like other theme park food, it's so filling. It works perfect. What I would do is I had friends that would come visit us, and then we'd go on Flight of Passage. We would just grab like 3 of those things, take it into the line with us, and we'd be done eating, you know, in the line, and still it would be so filling. It would be great. Mm-hmm. That was one of my personal favorites. But a favorite like sit down kind of place. I really love the Regal Eagle Smokehouse. Yeah, she didn't get to try it. After Ryan and I did the 3 Caballeros challenge, which is on the YouTube channel right now, so you need to go check that out. We went right to Regal Eagle because I was wearing my Muppet shirt at the time, and I just wanted to try it. It was delicious. That's the best barbecue on Disney property, hands down. Sit down. You know, I also really like Pinocchio's Village House in Fantasyland at Magic Kingdom. So those are my 3 probably.
Okay. So I was gonna say also along with the Yak and Yeti, even though like I'm not sure if that would be considered more my top 3 because I really love the chicken fried rice, and I also really love the egg rolls that are there. But I probably would agree with saying Pinocchio Village House. That's one of them. But the other ones I really like are the authentic ones in Epcot. Like I really love Tapan Edo. Ooh, again, like these are the rare occasions you get to go to these places.
Ooh, that's a good one. I didn't even think about that one.
Oh my goodness. We went there for my birthday, and it was just phenomenal. Like just for one, the service of them cooking right in front of you, but then just everything was just so good there. And then the next I would recommend, I'm a little bit biased because I love Norway and everything of Norway, but I would say the Kringla Bakeri or Akershus.
Try pronouncing that,
10 times. And but those Akershus especially is like traditional Norwegian food. And I don't know if any of you know this, but I actually lived in Norway for 18 months. So I really missed having the Norwegian flavors and having, it had so many good dishes that I remember trying when I would visit, friends in Norway. And it was really good. And the service is really good. It's a princess character meet and greet. And we actually went with some of Andrew's friends there. And that was just so much fun. But yeah, I think those would be my top 3.
Those are really good choices. Those are really
more expensive choices. So not for your everyday grab to go food.
Again, the Yak and Yeti fried rice. That's where you need to go.
Yeah,
that's
good. It's good.
It's great. And if you don't get the fried rice, get the egg rolls.
Okay. Yes.
The egg rolls are great too. I mean, you can get 2 of them for, again, really cheap. All right. So Mike, you've kind of had a couple of these questions in here. I see too, but I'm going to narrow this one down. So you met me and Brianna. Referring to Brianna Takes 5, who's his girlfriend. Really nice people. But have you met any more of us in the Disney YouTube community? We've met a ton of people in the Disney YouTube community. I used to hang around with a lot of people in the Disney community. I miss them all. They're really great people. Should I go down the list?
There's a lot. You can name a few.
Just off the top of my head, there's Amazing Disney Rod. He does amazing vlogs and stuff like that. We're definitely going to be featuring him on this channel. Same thing with Orlando Mike. Orlando Mike's great guy as well. Same with Brianna. They're both probably going to feature on this channel at some point. There's Aaron from My Disney World Fix, who I just saw commented on here. There is Tanya from That Crazy Disney Lady. There is Jeff from Only Passengers. There's Spokesman, who I got to meet a couple times. One of the times was at the media preview for the Mickey Shorts Theater. I actually got to work the media preview. I'm very proud of that. I will gladly talk about that as long as we're here.
Okay.
That was so much fun to be able to work with Spokesman. I've seen Tim Tracker tons of times. He's one of the kindest guys in the world too. Very down to earth.
I know one that I met. You met too.
Yes, Justin Scard.
Justin Scard.
He's probably my favorite. Overall, just brilliant guy. I can't say enough cool things about him. He's just brilliant in everything he does. He's probably my biggest inspiration, and I've gotten to meet him once, and she got to meet him.
He came through my booth in the Auto Plaza.
And so, I think one of my favorite things, though, no matter who I've met, no matter what all the consequences are, it's really funny how after they meet me, they'll go to Sierra whenever they see her in Epcot, and they'd be like, "Hi, Sierra," and you're like, "I don't know who you are."
Not to sound offensive, it's just Andrew meets a lot of new people, and I don't know anyone.
Yes, that's totally true.
Yes.
Is there anyone else I named that or didn't name that you've met as well? Oh, yeah, there is. Years of Years.
Okay. Yes, Years of Ears. They're actually from my hometown, and so I've known them for a really long time. They're fantastic. Oh, Living with Diz too. I'm just thinking of like family YouTubers. So like Living with Diz, Years of Ears. They're fantastic. I totally recommend going and checking them out. It's just lots of fun. It's just kind of like following a family around the parks, and it's wonderful.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I mean, honestly, whoever we meet, we're always open to meeting new people. We're always excited to just get to know people. Yeah. So honestly, guys, we really appreciate you guys. We're gonna start wrapping it up now. We like to end every single podcast that we have here that with some good news without trying to copyright some good news, but it is something that we've seen from our own life that we wanted to kind of bring up here. So this past Good Friday during Easter weekend, our church, which is the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, they organized a worldwide fast for a bunch of faiths and denominations and things like that. The idea was to be able to fast for basically the end of at least the controlling of the coronavirus itself, that the caregivers would be protected during this whole time period, and that life would basically resume normal. Those would be the three things that we were fasting for. And basically what a fast is, it's basically abstaining from 2 meals over the course of, or basically a 24-hour.
Kind of like giving up something that maybe you spend a lot of time with, like social media, or kind of like to kind of take time to focus, meditate, pray.
Exactly, on whatever you believe and whatever you hold to be true. What was really cool was we saw this movement on Facebook start giving way. There's a Facebook group with over 500 and almost 550,000 people were in this Facebook group of various different beliefs, from reaching as far as from atheism to Hinduism to Buddhism to Muslim. It was just super, super cool to see an entire worldwide faiths gathered together and in support of the end of the coronavirus. And hopefully it's right around the corner. Hopefully we'll all be back to normal soon. I'm grateful that we were able to have this time really just to be able to think about like kind of what matters most, though. Like you often take things for granted, like, what you have and what you don't have, when issues like this come up, you kind of have to kind of start seeing, what's important to you. And so,
yeah. And I think that is something that we all kind of consider in our lives. It's like what means the most to us, our family, our friends, sometimes our faith, sometimes just being around people and being able to uplift one another. I think that's where you kind of realize that's where happiness is. There's a lot of great things in the world, but this kind of humbled us to look for something even more that brings us joy. even like sharing our talents or talking with you guys through virtual connections. But it's just those kind of things that you realize is what matters most in life.
And so we're grateful for all of you guys. We hope that each of you guys are able to stay safe, stay sane, do whatever you need to do to make sure that you're staying happy too. Look for all the positives because there's good in the world. You just kind of have to look for it, especially during this hard time period. And it is a hard time period, but I know we'll be able to get through it together. I have faith that will happen. I have faith that will happen soon. But we're grateful for all of you for turning into this very first episode of The Playground. We're very excited to bring in future installments. We definitely could see that this was a huge success today. So we're very grateful for all of you guys for tuning in and watching and supporting this channel. We love you guys a lot. Hopefully in the future, we'll be bringing in special guests to be able to talk with and be able to get to know more and be able to show you guys who we have as well. But until that time, we'll see you real soon.
See ya.